This week, we have a new segment, Redeye Retrospective, where we give a modern review of some of our favorite media that has deep roots in our childhood. We thought it was fitting to first consider the TV show Reading Rainbow. But you don't have to take my word for it.
Pour the coffee!
Top of the mustache to you, and welcome to another episode of Mustaches and Coffee. Where the topic goes, nobody knows. I'm Isaac.
I'm Ben.
Glad to have all you mustache and coffee lovers with us. It is fantastic to see you, Ben. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm tired, but good. Surprisingly, tired and good. I do.
Well, that'd be perfect. You need coffee. There's your dose of coffee right there for you.
Yeah. I just I hit the thing. We're on video now, so it's pretty interesting. We might have some slip ups that happen every once in a while. That's a first one for us. So yeah, but I'm doing fantastic. I'm just tired, and I guess I need some coffee. So
what you do?
It's been a pretty interesting week, I'll say that. But I'm more interested in how the goings on are for you, Ben. So I have to ask you, what's brewing in your life?
Not a whole lot. Had last Friday off. I took my wife to just a little checkup, doctor's appointment. But we went to the mall afterwards, and I came across this mannequin. I just want to see your reaction. This is the strangest looking mannequin I've ever seen. So. What's your thoughts on this?
Somebody needs a chiropractor.
They have like the longest neck, and then like their fingers are all like bent. So I'm like, I got to take a picture of this. So
where did you go?
This was at Macy's.
Wow.
So draft neck, right?
that has like terrible posture, and normally mannequins are so straight, and they're that's very interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say about that.
But other than that, not a whole lot going on. The weather's been really, really cool. And we had the Aurora Borealis that happened to go through Ohio. I didn't get to see it because all the light pollution up here, but my brother and a good friend of mine got to see it and sent me pictures. So that's pretty much what I've been going on. What's been going on with me? How about you?
Well, yeah, I didn't get to see it either. I think there was too much light pollution.
Yeah.
So it's a bummer, but I got some good pictures as well. And I think you sent me the one from your brother. So
yeah,
if you got to see it, good for you. I mean, we're getting all kinds of historical things this year. We got the solar eclipse and that northern light showing where normally it doesn't in this part of the country. So I got a lot going on, actually, a lot brewing. We decided to start on our front deck, get that repaired. It's just been needing it for a few years now. And we were hopeful that we could just replace the planks, maybe a few joists here and there. No, as soon as we started getting into it, the actual poles, the main beams, and just everything just needed replaced. So we spent the entire weekend, and including today, because we're still in progress of working on this thing. Putting in a new deck, and that includes digging holes and pouring concrete and measuring and cutting, getting things just right, and screwing into that piece of wood. Yeah, it's just, for people that are doing that kind of work all the time, or that's your hobby, it's probably a lot of fun. But when you have kids and you're trying to manage your time and and other things, it can be a headache. So I'll be happy when this is all done. It's coming along nicely. Other than all that, sounds bad how we had to go to all this work, but it's definitely coming along. But in the process, it's definitely taken up pretty much all of my time here recently. So that's been the going on for me. I've been just pretty much focused on getting that thing done, and I think it's supposed to rain here soon, so that will put us on a hold, give us a little bit of a breather that we can finally get it, some rest, and then once it's cleared up, we'll try and finish it. So,
yeah, you sound busy.
Very, very busy, but I'll live. It's just
that's good.
Just getting to the next day, as they say. So, well, we have a very, very special episode. Like we mentioned, this is actually our second video episode. So we hope you've been enjoying it so far. We know we've been having a fun time having video that we can share with you. But we're actually doing a new segment. This is called our Redeye Retrospective. So let's go ahead and get into it. Reading Rainbow. What a special TV show that ran in the 1980s all the way up into the 2000s. For our new segment, in Redeye Retrospective, we look at some things that we grew up with and give our modern take of it. So we thought Reading Rainbow is a wonderful place to begin. And to give clarity, Ben, what does the term red eye mean?
So it's espresso if you put espresso in coffee.
So how much more of a fitting title? We thought Redeye Retrospective. We're giving our retrospective with a little bit of a kick. And with Reading Rainbow, I don't even know where to begin with that. That's just something that I think a lot of people can relate to. So we're just going to talk about it. We're going to talk about maybe some episodes, some memories we have. I know, Ben, you've got some memories to share growing up with it, so we'll get to those. But I'll just ask you, Ben, what do you think of when you hear Reading Rainbow? What pops to your mind first?
So I think the theme song, it has to be the theme song. Just it's very catchy. It's like ingrained in my brain. It won't come out.
Yeah. Playing Butterfly in the Sky.
Yeah.
I can go twice as high. That's just, it's fantastic. And just a few thoughts about it. I mean, I grew up in the 90s mostly. I was born in late 80s. But this came out on June 6th, 1983. I didn't know that. Did you?
No, I didn't realize it went back that far.
Yeah. I knew 80s, but I was like, maybe mid to late. But yeah, it was the early 80s. And I mean, if you look at some episodes now, they do look dated, I'll say.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've got a few episodes that come to mind, but there's a few I went back and wanted to look up a few I remember, and I was like, oh yeah, it does kind of look dated now. And it does have that 80s, like early 80s feel going on to it. But I think everybody can relate to LeVar Burton too. What are your thoughts on him? And when you hear that name, I'm sure this comes to mind, but do you remember him in anything else that he might have acted in?
Yeah, so I automatically associate him with Star Trek, Geordi. There was actually an episode where he did a behind the scenes of Star Trek. And that's like the one Reading Rainbow episode I do remember from when I was thinking back to this, is he did a behind the scenes of Star Trek. So that was pretty cool episode.
Very cool. I don't think I remembered that one, but that's really cool. Now I have to look that one up. That's that you would figure they would do that for how big both of those were in the 90s. Mm-hmm. And I mean, the memories, I think we can talk about our memories. So like my first memory is being at anyone's house because everybody had PBS. It's a free channel. You know, some people had cable or satellite or whatever, but everybody had PBS. So it seemed like this and many other PBS shows were always on at someone's house. So that's what comes to my mind. If you were playing outside with your friends, you'd come in and get some Kool-Aid or lemonade or something to cool off. And it was like, okay, let's sit down to watch TV. This was almost 9 times out of 10. It was always on. I don't know. What are some memories you have with this show?
So it's I think it can't. I'm trying to remember what time it would come on. I would only catch like bits and pieces of it. I felt like it was like rare for me to see like a full episode, I want to say. But I was pretty young when it was on. I think it actually ended till like much later, like 2009 or something. Like it went on for a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have some mixed memories of it, but yeah, I was just obsessed with it when I was a kid.
Really? So you didn't
Yes.
watch like a full episode, but you're still obsessed with it as a kid. So you liked it enough, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I in fact, so I went over to my aunt's house over the weekend because I had a memory of reading Rainbow. I found a clip I'm gonna play. It's from April 19th, or 16th, I think it is, 1993. I would have been 4 years old. And
Oh, wow.
the context of this was me and my cousin were singing. And I remember this in the back room. I heard the theme song come on. So here's the clip. I like that my my cousin's just like standing there like, what just happened? So yeah, I it didn't catch in the video, but it was just a commercial for Reading Rainbow.
Oh,
So when
yeah.
I came back, I was just like, oh, it's a commercial. It's a commercial. So
Oh,
I was disappointed, but yeah, I was like, oh my goodness, Reading Rainbow's on.
oh, that's awesome though that you have that memory. That's a great video.
Yeah.
You look so cute too. Look at you.
Oh, thanks. What happened?
You still
Age.
have that. Well, you still have the young looks going on, so you got that. But
I
I mean,
just want to
you're
know what I would look like now, like 4-year-old me with a goatee and mustache.
well, you know they have all those apps like whatever.
There we go.
You have to try it out sometime. Take a clip of that video or something.
There you go.
Yeah, it could be your next like profile picture or something.
I do want to say when I was going back and looking at this video, have you noticed, since we're talking about more 90s things and, early 80s, do you notice all the kids during that time would always wear like khaki pants?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, they
in
did.
the clip, I had khaki pants on, white sneakers. And I'm like, every kid had that.
Yeah. There's certain fads you look back on and you just kind of like, oh man, that's definitely a part of that time. There was the overalls, and like the bright red shirt that went with it. That's where like I think kids wanted to be Mario. Maybe that's why. But yeah, there's a ton of kids that had that, and the fanny packs, the neon pink and green. That was in my wardrobe. I remember family videos. I'm wearing something to that nature. So that could be something else we cover in this kind of a segment, going back on retrospective fashion. Look at what fashion was back then. But
that would be awesome.
Yeah. But getting back to Reading Rainbow, I think when we look at the show itself, I can see why your 4-year-old self got excited because the show had LeVar Burton, like we've talked about. He just was very approachable. He had this really good nature about him that welcomed you in. And he would have some kind of topic, but then it would go into what they would have like a main book. I don't know if they had a name for it, but it was read from some actor, normally someone that was somewhat well known, and then they would have the pictures. And sometimes they were actually animated or interactive. Do you remember that?
Yeah. It would always have a main segment and it was a different actor reading it, and then it would kind of go in more of a story of what's going on with kids or whatever the situation was, and then the story would keep going on to other stories and stuff, just things we would learn.
Yeah. It was just really, I don't know, caught your attention as a kid. I really loved it growing up. And even today, it's actually pulled me in a lot. I was going back through and looking at some episodes, and I'm just sitting there like, this is actually pretty fascinating stuff. There was episode where they talked about germs, and he went out to a lake and got some in a water, and he took it to a science lab, and they let him look through a microscope and look at it and explained it, but it was in a kid's level. You know, it didn't get too complicated, but it was very simple enough that you can understand. And then sure enough, the main book was about being sick. I'm blanking on the title, but it's a well-known book. And yeah, it's just, I really like the setup. What do you think of the setup of the show? Because there was that, and then didn't they, towards the end, it was like 3 books and it was 3 kids that kind of introduced them. I mean, what did you think about the layout of the show?
So it's different. See, you know, as a kid, I don't remember exactly how I felt during the layout, but rewatching it, I'm like, oh yeah, I see how this would appeal to kids because it's structured. It's not overly long. It's changing. It keeps the kids' attention span. But going back over this, I really felt like it was basically therapy for kids, because trying to
Yeah,
explain the world of, you know, how you deal with emotions or different things you experience, and it's brought in a very simple way to explain the world to kids. So that's kind of what I got away re-watching an episode.
that's a good way to put it. Right. Because there's so many topics, and some of them are fun. There's a baking episode. That's where I have a lot of nostalgia with. I thought those cakes looked amazing. They had like objects and people. There's like a basketball. Looked like an actual pig. Of course, it was a cake. Wasn't eating bacon or pork or anything, but it looked good. And there was, they talk. There's one famous one. It's the library. They talk about libraries or something along those lines. That's where I don't know if you ever heard that song, Check It Out. You'll have to look it up if you
It
haven't.
sounds familiar.
It's like, check it out, check it out, check it out, check it out. Like, it's just very catchy, but it's the quote unquote library episode. So there's a lot of fun stuff, but there's some actually deep stuff. Like you said, almost it's
Yeah.
a therapy session for kids, but it makes it fun. It's just everything's fun. But yeah, I think there was even an episode about 9/11, about, terror attacks. That's pretty deep to try and explain to kids, but it approached it the right way. It had it, about the situation. This is what happened. This is a date that, everybody can say, I remember where I was at, because it was just a lot of uncertainty. But yeah, this show just had a good way of approaching things. And again, I have to go back to LeVar Burton. He just had that manner, there was episodes where he was kind of put into tight spots. I think
Yeah.
like dangers and stuff. I mean, he's going up to, I think it's a tiger, and yeah, they're in a zoo, so they're not wild. But it's just like, this is a tiger. It could rip your face off at any point, but I'm standing right next to it. He's just always so calm and just had that, like you said, therapeutic, almost welcoming to it. So I really, when I went back and was looking at this and all the memories that it came back with it, so much nostalgia, I think, with this TV show.
Yeah, that's funny you mentioned that episode. I actually watched that episode last night about the 9/11 attacks.
Okay.
And what was interesting is he didn't really elaborate on, not trying to scare the kids and saying, "Oh, this was a terrorist attack" or anything. It was, there's these buildings. This is called Ground Zero, and these buildings fell down, and
Right.
people are trying to come together and deal with this tragedy. Um, and he read a book called The 10 Forests. It was actually narrated by Jeff Bridges. And
Oh, yeah.
So the book kind of just I took some notes about the book. So there's this old man that keeps having these dreams, and he like lives out in the forest, and there's no animals or plants, and he just wants the outside to look better. So he ends up making a 10 forest out
Hmm.
of different parts and everything. And behold, these toucans come and start like planting seeds, and the forest starts growing amongst the 10 forests. So the man ends up like being friends with the animals and how things can change for the better and everything. Um, but it like showed the kids, like he went to their school and was like helping them with projects and trying to heal with that and everything. But I thought was kind of funny was um, the laptops the kids had during that time were like these brand new Apple laptops. Uh,
Yeah.
I'm like, well, it is New York; they have money, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a just a good episode and kind of helped the kids heal with that tragedy being in New York City.
Right. 'Cause that's something I don't know how you'd approach it, but those
Yeah,
types of topics this show covered. It definitely, again, it had fun stuff in it for sure. There's just music. There's a lot of music episodes. I like those too. And
yeah,
they interview the people. There was like a cappella group in New York that they were together for years, and they talked about like their struggles as a group. A cappella's not one of these big money making areas, but they said they liked it so much they went for it. So it preached a lot of good values, just believing in yourself. It had the right tone for kids. I guess that's the way to put it. It really had a positive spin on things, despite all these topics. You go, whoa, you're gonna talk about this topic? Wow, and it's good for kids to know about. But I just really appreciate going back to it even today. I think it holds up today. I don't know. What do you
yeah,
think about for someone watching it today? Because I think it ended back on, I had it noted. The last episode was November 10th, 2006.
yeah.
So almost 20 years it's been off the air. But what do you think about someone maybe that's never seen this with modern eyes if they were to go back to it?
I think especially if you have young kids, it's rare that you have something like this that will actually help kids deal with growing up being kids. The time that we were as kids is completely different than now. So, often wondered if maybe if they had this brought back for a modern situation, how they would handle things in school or bullying or other things that kids are dealing with, how they would do it. But it's one of those, like I said, it's one of those rare shows that was out there, and it just it helped me as a kid, I guess, to feel normal with other situations I was going on with.
Yeah.
So that's what I thought.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. It helped me growing up. And you could say that about a lot of shows. There's Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. There was Sesame Street, also all on PBS. Those were kind of the big three, I would say, of part of my childhood that helped me learn about things. It got me interested in things. It just did a good job of, being educational but fun. And yeah, it's something I think about. Like, I wonder why it went off the air. And like you mentioned, if it was brought back, you would think LeVar Burton would have to have something to do with it, and the original writers, the cast.
Mhm.
It's been years, so I wonder if there's. I'll have to do some research on that. Who's possibly still around to do that or would be interested. What I think is interesting to note is there is a documentary that came out. It was called Butterfly in the Sky, based off of the theme song. And it was actually in theaters. I'm surprised I didn't hear
Hmm,
about it. It was a documentary, so a lot of times you don't hear about it through ads, but it was March. I think it came out in theaters.
really?
And yeah, from what I'm seeing, they just released the trailer. It's going to be on Netflix. So I
Hmm.
haven't seen it. I might have to check it out and see what it involved. I know some documentaries they can They can go pretty dark places. I have no idea. So I'm saying this with no context if I've seen it before, but I would think if it's covering Reading Rainbow, they should keep it pretty level. Is what I'm saying. But
yeah. So I actually, years ago, I got to see LeVar Burton in person.
You
I don't know if you
did.
knew it. Yeah. So he
No.
was at Cincinnati Comic-Con a few
Cool.
years ago. He was, I got a picture of him from a distance, but didn't get to talk to him. He was like crowded with people, but
Oh yeah.
I can say I saw him.
Very nice. That's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never seen him in person, but the fact that you were that close to him,
Yeah.
maybe I think he still does different Comic Cons too. So who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get a chance to meet him again. He just seems like one of the cool. You can just talk to him about anything. And that's not just watching Reading Rainbow. I've seen different interviews and more like this is him out of his acting whatever role he's in, and he just seemed like a really nice guy. Like that was the most Reading Rainbow was more him. So what you saw that was pretty much him. He wasn't acting or pretending to be someone he wasn't. But yeah, that's something I guess that would be interesting to put on a list of things to do, like meet LeVar Burton. I think you gotta for some people, something we want to do eventually. Well, yeah, there's
I was gonna say apparently he has a podcast called RR Kids, and apparently he's been sued for the catchphrase "Don't take my word for it."
Really?
Because he's using that in his show. He said it's basically a Reading Rainbow for adults, like modern adults. But I guess that phrase is copyrighted, so he's like in a bunch of legal trouble for using it.
Are you serious? Like,
yeah.
You don't have to take my word for it. Well, I hope somebody doesn't come sue me for saying that earlier. I didn't know that. That's interesting. Yeah. You don't have to take my word for it. It's copyrighted.
Yeah. Yeah, big legal trouble over it. It's rather stupid.
That does sound silly. I mean, I get it. It's very closely tied to the show, but I don't know. That bugs me for some reason.
Well, I mean, he's been on the show for how many years? And, that's like ingrained in him. He can't just not say it anymore if he's doing a show that's kind of like that. That's just dumb.
That is so weird. Yeah, it says that I got curious. I had to look this up real quick. So, yeah, that was back in October of 2017. I guess they settled it out of court. Ended up. So that tells me they probably told him don't ever use it again, and or maybe they allowed him to. I don't know. That's something I'll have to do some more research on, but that's so odd that, a phrase can be copyrighted. I never even thought about that. But
it's just dumb.
Anyway, to get back on a more positive spin, is there any other things that come to your mind just when you're thinking about the show, whether it be episodes or memories that you have?
Not necessarily memories. Like I said, I kind of caught it when I could. I think, as we have modern technology, probably be able to go back and rewatch some of the episodes. Fun fact, actually, not long ago, I actually found some Reading Rainbow DVDs at Goodwill. They actually have pretty high value, so I was able to flip those on eBay for like $30.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very nice.
So
I don't know. I would want to hang on to it at this point. The way things are going with streaming, we talked about that last episode. True. Just, maybe that'll go up even more in value, but that's still pretty cool. Yeah. I remember those.
Sorry, not to interrupt. I did find out too, they actually have an app. It's like a Reading Rainbow app. You can download on your phone. Apparently it's, I haven't messed with it. I don't know if it's books or like old videos from the show. But yeah, they have an app out.
I mean, it's just called Reading Rainbow app, and I
think it's Reading Rainbow app. I came across it earlier today. I forget how it was worded specifically, but
okay.
Another
That's
thing for you
interesting.
to look up, right?
I wonder if it's like a app that it lets you play the episodes too. Maybe
It
it's
might.
like things are also going that route where if you want to watch something, you have to download their app, and they probably put their own ads on it so they don't have to go through YouTube or other streaming services. They can just charge you
Yeah,
directly. I don't know. That's just a guess, but yeah,
probably.
have to look into that more. I didn't know that there was an app, but
Yeah.
it could just be something as simple as that, or I don't know, maybe something more cool that involves uh, books that were on the TV. I mean, I'm thinking too complicated, like interesting facts about the show behind the scenes. I don't know. That type of thing would be cool on the app.
Yeah, so I'm looking it up. It's actually like more of a hands-on interactive app. Like they
Okay.
got pictures and things you can draw and learn stuff, and
Oh,
it has books in it. So, but it's like Reading Rainbow inspired.
interesting. Okay.
So
I might
your
have to
kids might
check
like
that
it.
out. Exactly. That's what I was just thinking. I'm like, I'm gonna have to check that out because I think that's another thing is, watching it today, like we mentioned, it's been off the air for almost 20 years now, but my kids can sit there and watch it and just have a great time with it. They love books already, so that kind of ties in with it. And yeah, I think it really holds up well today. I think that's one thing we can kind of say with this segment. We're looking back at stuff, and it could be something we grew up with. Maybe it's been a while since we've revisited it. So I thought, why don't we give a rating that is appropriate with our show of up to 1 to 5 mustaches. So a modern review of this. So Ben, if you were to review Reading Rainbow, just giving your modern take on it, what rating would you give Reading Rainbow?
That's hard because I always had a bad attention span, even now. So it's hard for a modern take. So I would say I'd give it a 4.
Yeah.
A little bit room for improvement, maybe.
Yeah. Oh, it's got some outdated stuff.
Yeah.
So it'd be hard to give it a 5, right? It's going to have some, there's a few things. I was going to be right there with you. I'd give it a 4. If we want to give it, halves, I might even go up to 4.5. 4.5 mustaches out of 5. I'm going to give it. And it's just due to the kids had to ask a few questions like, what's this about? Or what's that? It's like, well, I'll tell you later. This is talking about at that exact time. They even had an episode on Star Wars. Like,
Really?
yeah, it's really interesting. They showed actual clips from the movie. I don't know. They must have been a fan of George Lucas to let him use footage. But I was like, okay, this is interesting. They're letting them play Star Wars on a kid show. These stormtroopers are getting blasted and Death Star's blowing up and stuff. And just like LeVar Burton's talking about, like, this is a fantasy adventure where there's lots of blasters and lasers and lightsabers.
Pew, 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 pew.
Yeah. So little stuff like that. I mean,
Yeah,
but
that's awesome.
Yeah, I was very impressed with it. I mean, I think nostalgia is always going to hold a special place for me with this show, but I was very surprised how well it held up, even modern. And like I said, it passed the kids test because my kids were able to watch it and they enjoyed it and held their attention. Maybe not every kid's going to be that way, but at least I can say it was for my kids. So, okay. Well, any other fun facts or anything else to throw out there about Reading Rainbow?
Nothing comes to mind. I was trying to remember. There was something I had, but my mind is blanking right now. So I think that's all I got right now.
Well, we can tell you, you can watch Reading Rainbow on YouTube. I think it's actually on Amazon Prime for free. I think a lot of people have Amazon Prime, so check them out. If you haven't watched it in a while, because we thought, hey, it'd be a lot of fun to go back and check this out. Just like the song says, check it out, check it out. Why don't we go back and check out Reading Rainbow? Because we have so many fond memories of it. But, be sure to message us. Let us know any memories you have of Reading Rainbow. Or if you think they should bring it back, let us know too. Who knows? We can send it in to them and say we need more Reading Rainbow in our lives, at least a modern one. So, well, it was a lot of fun to go through. trip down memory lane, but let's go ahead and move into our last segment.
Last Drop.
Brought to you by coffee.
Take it away, Ben.
Man says emotional support alligator, known for his social media audience, has gone missing. A Pennsylvania man says his emotional support alligator named Wally has gone missing amid the coastal marshes of Georgia. Joe Henry alligator has attracted thousands of social media followers over the years, with videos and photos showing people petting and cuddling the 5.5-foot reptile. It turns out that he was visiting a park in Georgia, and the next night the gator escaped. So they're seeking, if anybody can find a gator in Georgia, try to capture him. That's what I got.
Well, yeah, we want to make sure they find him there. That's a interesting take of a special bond, between a man and his alligator.
The problem is there is 200, I looked it up, 200 to 300,000 alligators in Georgia.
Well,
Are you Wally? Are you Wally? No. It's not like trying to find a dog. They kind of all look the same.
Yeah, I feel bad. I hope they get reunited, but yeah, that doesn't sound good.
Apparently, the article said that they are looking for him every day. So,
oh yeah. Well, we hope
hopefully
the best for him. Yeah, that's sad. I do feel for him. So, hopefully things turn out. I'm sure he would recognize them once he saw them.
Probably
they'll just bring it to him and he'll know. I guess
run in slow motion to each other.
Reunited, and it feels so good. Yeah.
Chomp chomp.
That would be the song I'd be playing for.
Yes, indeed.
All right. Well, thank you for that, Ben. So yeah, be on the lookout for that. Help them to. If you happen to see that in Georgia, I don't know who to contact. Maybe some kind of ranger or something.
Yes.
See if they can get reunited there. So well,
Yes.
Good. Keep that in mind. But before we wrap up, let's make sure we do our due diligence. So Ben, why don't you tell people where they can find us at?
You can get a hold of us on Instagram. And a reminder, we have a giveaway. Hint, hint. So make sure you follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Mustaches and Coffee. You can contact us on our Twitter at Stash and Joe. And now we're on YouTube. So just search us on YouTube, Mustaches and Coffee. That's how you can get a hold of us.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Be sure to follow us because that giveaway that you're talking about, it goes till the end of the month. So if you want to be able to enter, you got to follow us on Instagram. So check us out. And if you like what you hear, please make sure to give us a 5-star review. That way more people will be able to find us. Well, as we always say, don't bash the stash.
I need espresso for the depresso.
Goodbye, everybody.